Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks very much for joining us. We're tracking a lot of high pressure around New Zealand at the moment. It's coming out of Australia. We've got one big high out here around the Chathams. It links up with the next high over Australia, and there's at least two more big highs coming through in the next 10 days. But there's also some rough weather in the Southern Ocean, which will just brush southern parts of New Zealand and up to the north. This large area of low pressure, but it looks a lot worse than it really is. The reason why it looks pretty decent is because of the high pressure further south, making for more wind and more of a pressure gradient, but the low itself, not much of a low. So let's take a look at the temperatures across today. Once again, warmer than average in most places, although the very north and the very east of both islands, you're getting that breeze straight off the sea, so not quite as warm for you. And in that white shading, it's -1 to +1 above normal. So basically it's about average. I think it's leaning though on that +1 side of things based on this map. So mostly warm across the country for this time of the year. And on Thursday, similar story, although there's a wind change in the South Island briefly. You get a day of westerlies before the next high rolls in and you've got more light winds. Those westerlies will push up the temperatures along the eastern side, reset things down in Southland, but you've still got the easterly flow at the north of the country keeping things exactly like Wednesday. And this is how it looks on Thursday. You can see that new westerly flow, temporary for the South Island, brings in a late burst of showers and a temperature drop in Southland, Fiordland, Southwestland, and later on you'll get some rain or showers further up the west coast, maybe a couple of heavy falls in there too. But around in Otago, just a few showers, a few spits. But those westerly winds are the reason why you've got a warmer Thursday. And in the North Island, it's the other way around. You've got easterlies up here because of the low just to the north. And I mentioned it was weak. Look at the air pressure, 1009. So it is barely a low. But these are, 1030. These highs are big, and there comes the next one. So before we get to Friday, rainfall coming through from that system. Not a huge amount, but there will still be some heavy falls. So while the rainfall totals here aren't too massive, 30 millimeters or so, that could fall in a fairly short time. Otherwise, not much of a rain event. Now to Friday. There's the high coming out of Australia, coming out of Victoria and Tasmania, stretching out across the South Island. And if I step away, it's joining up with this other one near the Chatham Islands. So there's a lot of high pressure heading to the South Island. The lows to the north remain where they are. So we've still got those easterlies at the top of the country, which are a little unusual in May to extend for such a long period. And the showers continue. They're isolated, hit and miss. Some days you'll get a shower. They'll be brief for the most part and not very heavy. Now as we go through the weekend further, Saturday is looking pretty much the same as Friday, to be honest with you. The high stretches further in over the South Island, so things are really calm and settled for you. Bit of a cold start, then a mild afternoon. In the North Island, it's fairly mild with those easterlies blowing through. A little cooler along the very coastal areas and more of those showers coming through. Sunday, repeat performance, really exactly the same as Saturday in many regards, but the high does shift a little further out, so you'll get a bit of a northeast breeze coming down some of those South Island coastlines. Now into next week, and it doesn't change a great deal on Monday, but there's a little bit of a cooler surge of air going up into Dunedin and Invercargill, maybe getting a little bit into central Otago. The rest of the country pretty much the same, more high pressure stretching across New Zealand and more of those southeasterly showers in the north. And once we get to Tuesday of next week, there is the next high. This one's a little different to the last two highs and the one we've got right now because it's more round shaped. So, circular sort of shape to it. The others have all been stretched out east to west. So this one might be a little different. It might move into the north and probably encourage more westerlies for the South Island, but also these subtropical winds. They're likely to be moving in later next week. So next week, bit of a southerly change moving through. You can see that dark blue line going up to about Wellington. So around Tuesday is a little cooler, maybe Wednesday as well. But by the end of next week, that high rolls in with subtropical winds. That's all from me. We will see you again on Thursday with the very latest.